What's up, motherfuckers? Yaukir Sindarov is in the semifinal of the World Cup after eliminate Jose Martinez Alcantara in the tiebreaks. After two classical games and four rapids, he finally outplayed him 3 points and a half to 2 points and a half. So I'm going to show us the decisive game who give Sindarov the ticket of the next round of the World Cup. And he's so close of reach the candidate. He only just need to win one more match of the two. So if he won the next match, he's in the candidate, and if he lost, he's going to have another opportunity. So let's analyze the game who give him the ticket of the next round. Okay, he opened with c4. During all the tiebreak, we saw the English opening with yes, both players employ that with both colors. So c4 by Sindarov, c5, knight f3, knight f6, knight c3. And now in the previous black game, Alcantara select the moves knight c3, but now he tries to go with e3, some a little bit different systems. He just try to keep the knight on b8 to maybe can play with b6, bishop b7. Okay, e6, g3, and now okay, black b5 here have another option for black. That's like the main move here. But okay, he chose to go to with b6. That's another setup. Bishop g2, bishop b7. I analyzed one game of Alcantara with white that he employed this setup, but with white is Sindarov in the same match. So castle, bishop b7, and okay, finally Sindarov break with d4. That's the plan of the position. Now you develop the knight, the bishop, you or castle. So you should break the center to just take more control of the center, because after c takes, queen takes, now I have the control of the center. So castle, rook d1, and here Alcantara played knight c6, who is not my favorite move. Here, a better setup for black could be play d6 with the idea of knight d7, and later develop the pieces like this: knight d7, rook c8, a6, and now black is going to be place the queen on b8, the bishop on a8, all the pieces in the front rank, the rook on e8, and the bishop on f8, and white is going to, for example, bishop b2, now queen c7, later yes, for example, rook c1, still including the pieces, queen b8, you know, h3, rook e8, and later bishop a8, bishop f8, and just white there. So, okay, white have more special advantage, but the black position is so solid, and we are just going to wait there in a yes, it was headhots system, and just wait there, and black position is completely playable. So that could be the best way to play the headshot with the knight on d7. Instead of that, he goes with knight c6, which is just not the best square for the knight, because you are closing your bishop diagonal. That's the huge problem. Sorry, black arrow. So now queen f4, and now Alcantara goes with queen b8 to try to trade queens. You have less space, so it's logical to trade queens. In general, try to trade pieces when you have less special advantage than your opponent. Now, okay, rook d8. Both players are playing so good. The only small mistake was this knight c6, but both players are playing so good. It's very typical move, just to have the option of develop the bishop to b2, and you are just defending the c4 pawn, so it's logical. Rook d8, queen takes, and bishop f4. We in a tempo attacking the rook d6, and now the white and black principal problem is going to be the d6 pawn. That's the black huge problem of the position, and white is going to try to white is going to try to attack the d6 pawn, which is the weakness of black position. And apart, the other white advantage is the spatial advantage thanks to the c4 pawn. And later, maybe you can play a pawn to e4 to take more spatial advantage. So okay, rook c1, logical, just to improving your pieces. h6, h3, two logical moves, giving a square for the king. When you have all your pieces good place, sometimes you should play h6 or h3 or h4, h5, knight h5, logical. Just win a tempo over the bishop and just returning with the knight to f6. This maneuver is so typical because the bishop is perfectly placed on f4, so with black we have no so useful moves. So we just can attack the bishop and force the bishop to go to a square who you didn't want to go, and just return to f6. And if white returns, okay, we can make a draw because we have a slightly worse position. And okay, if white wants to try something, okay, he can try something, but with the bishop on only 3 bad place. Okay, knight b5 by Sindarov, logical move. He's attacking a7 and attacking b6. Rook d7, very good move. Covering, of course, the knight is defending there, but now we prepare the double. We prepare to doubling rooks into the d5, and defend the d6 pawn. Knight e1, very good move. The knight is misplaced here, and now we open the bishop diagonal. This knight is going to make, we can make some maneuvers with d2, knight d4, and later we're going to see that the e1 knight is going to create some troubles. But here the problem 91 is not a huge problem, but here black should react with d5. Until here both players are playing so good, but here Alcantara should react with d5, trying to equalize the position. If pawn takes, knight takes, and looks like black have no problems here. Okay, we can trade everything, but okay, white is slightly better because the bishop is passive, this pawn is a weakness, this knight is so active, but the position is, yes, it's playable for black, and it's so close to equal. And okay, looks like c takes is the only logical move here. You can play knight d3, but now or g5 or bishop a6, and but looks like d5 does the move for black. Here you have less spatial advantage, so you should just break the center and try to take more space in the center with d5 looks. And I explained that in some videos that when your opponent go back with a knight, we should at least think to react in the center. I'm not going to say that always that your opponents go back with a knight, we should break the center. But it's so common because other pieces like the bishop, the rooks, and the queens are good placed in the first rank, attacking from the first rank. But the knights in the first rank, no. When the masters play the knight goes back with the knight, is to make some maneuver and later improve the knight. But we should use the tempo and the moment where the knight is in the first rank to try to break the center. Because later this knight is going to improve to d3 or somewhere, and it's going to be more difficult to break in the center. So that's the when your opponent go with the knight back, used to be the right moment to break the center. So and now that's in this position, this typical thing works. The d5 here was the best move. Instead of that, Alcantara is still playing with knight d8. Okay, black have no a horrible position, and knight d8 is a normal move. But the problem is that you are not changing nothing the position, and white have more special advantage, and white is better here. The advantage not so big, but white position is more pleasant and yes, specifically in rapid games. So bishop f4, and now he trade, and 98, defending this. Sorry, fuck, that's it. Defending this pawn, so logical. 93, just improving the knight. Now we cannot break here because now the knight is coming to e5. So a6, ejecting this knight, and rook c8, logical. Now maybe black can break with b5 in one day, so the rook is fine here, or with d5. White black always should keep an eye in these breakthroughs. And now SINDAROV made his first inaccuracy of the game, maybe with knight b4. He's not the favorite of the machine. Okay, he's still having good position with knight b4 because, okay, like I told you, you have a special advantage, but knight d4 was stronger here. Attacking b6 and rook b7, and now bishop or e4, just taking all the space, or bishop e3 here was fine. I prefer e4 here. I really like e4. But okay, knight b4 by SINDAROV was perfectly fine. The problem is that this allowed black to trade more pieces with knight c6. And like I told, when we have a special advantage, we didn't want to trade pieces. Rook c6 and e4. It's interesting to see that white wait to play e4 until the light square bishop was traded to not close his own bishop. So first he traded the bishop, and later that bishop was traded, he finally played e4, taking all the control of the center. Rook. Here is Alcantara should have played bishop g5 to equalize the position. Is trading your opponent active bishop, and the huge idea is now the king can king to e7 to defend d6, and it's going to be so difficult to attack d6 now with a king on e7. So we're just trading an attacker for a defender who, okay, apart, this used to be fine to try a defender piece for an attacker piece, but now is that we can king with another piece to e7 to defend d6, and white can king with another piece to f4 to attack d6. So that's why bishop g5 is a very good move, trading more pieces, and when we have less space, always is going to be fine trade pieces, and especially if this is a passive piece. So that's very good. Bishop g5. Alcantara game is that move. He was playing so passive during all the game. He have some moments of change the thing. For example, with d5 breaking the center, or with bishop g5 trading a good piece. But he all the time missed the opportunity of change the character of the position, and he still slightly worse all the time. Now, apart, Sindarov play a very good game. A4, rook c8, and now knight e4. Very good move and good maneuver going to b4. Rook 7 c7, rook 6 c7, sorry. Now knight b4. And for example, if a5, who is the best move? Now the idea of white is that now the b5 square was open. So now we can return to a2 if we want to go to later to c3, b5. Or with c2, sorry, knight c2 with knight d4, knight a3, b5. That's the idea of why we are going to provoke a5. So Alcantara doesn't want to give this square, of course, because the knight from b5 is going to attack d6. So for that reason, Alcantara try to keep the pawn h6 and bishop b3, attacking b7, rook b7. Let's see that the two black rooks are so passive and white pieces are so active. For that reason, is that I like bishop g5 in the previous move, knight c6, the knight center in the black camp, bishop f8, an important move of white here, b5, very good move. Now he will game with b5 one day to hold the knight, so before important move, knight f6, king f3, defending the pawn, king e2, just still improving the king. And now rook c7. Okay, of course, Alcantara play uh, knight f6 and knight d7 just to defend b6 and free the b7 rook to can came to attack the knight. So he finally played b5, holding the knight. Until here, Sindarov was playing perfectly, perfect. Maybe a small inaccuracy, but to be a rapid game is incredible game by Sindarov until here. King e7. Here he played a4, who is not the best, was stronger to play rook a1. Because the problem after e4 is that now Alcantara activates his pieces so much, not his pieces, his rook so much, so rook a1 was stronger, just avoiding that. F4, a takes rook a4, king f3. Here again, rook a3 or g5 are stronger. h5 by Alcantara is not the best. g4, and here he make another mistake trading here. The problem of trade here, pawns, is that you are open the h file and white is going to use the h file to attack your king. For that reason, I don't like h5 and takes. I understand that he made that to not allow to white to take more space with the king side pawn, but you should avoid that. Or for example, if you doesn't, sorry, you should allow that. If you want to avoid that, you should play g5 or still try active, play active with the rook with rook a3. But the problem of h5 and trade here again, black have the resource. By the way, after f5, white is better. But the problem of trade this point is that now we have the h file open to attack your king. So these plans of Alcantara have no so much sense. King g8, because yes, he knows that he's going to have problems on the g5, g5, g6. And here is an important moment. I want to put us like an exercise and put this position in the board and let's think how you can play. Okay, now I hope that you find the best move of white here, who is rook a1. That's the correct move of the position. Why? Because let's examine the black pieces. The rook is passive. This knight is passive. The bishop is passive, but the rook is active. So if black have three passive pieces and only one active piece, what we are going to do? Trade his best piece with rook a1. That's a simple positional check. Sorry, not check. It's a not what idea. And okay, last thing, what's happening if he takes on c4? You should calculate some, just rook a1 and yes, and white is putting so much troubles on the into the A rank. Okay, I understand that this is not so easy, but now the rook on c4 have no good squares, and yes, white position is so pleasant. Yeah, we can double rooks into the A rank one day. Okay, this is a positional but tactical two idea. This the rookie one. It's not so easy to understand everything. Okay, of course, it's easy to understand that we should trade our opponent piece. But okay, we should understand that after rook here, rook a8, and white have a winning position thanks to the black pieces are so passive. So okay, he played rook d2. Again, rook a2 here was the strong move. King e2, and the problem of king e2 is that here finally husband finds the best move to complicate the position and to trying to change the things. He played f5. Very good move, just trying to take a space and yes, very good move of husband. Of course, Sindarov is still having advantage, but it's not the same now. It's not so clear for why the game now. He takes king f3. He returned to f3, of course, and now again second very good move of course e5, still taking special advantage. Rook d5, rook a3, king f2. And here finally husband fails and make a decisive mistake. But okay, the position is so difficult. I'm watching the game on live and I didn't find who are the best move in few seconds that he have no so much time in the clock. Here black very hard was rook b3. It's not easy to understand because okay, now white is taking on e5, so we're just going to make a like a quiet move, just waiting that with black we're waiting that white takes on e5, and after he takes on e5, we're going to trade everything and play rook h7 with the idea of game with rook h2. That's a very nice idea. And the other option was take here and knight c5. That's another possibility. But I really like the idea of rook b3 just waiting, and when white takes everything, rook h7 to activate. The problem is that he played rook a4, and now after all the trades, again, I think that rook h7 here was the most interesting, but it's better to play that with the rook on b3. He tries to make that just to, yes, of course, he played rook a4 with the idea of take on c4 after all the line. But now the problem is that the f5 pawn and the b6 pawns are going to file, sorry, going to fall, especially I think that both pawns are going to fall. During the game, I saw the commentators and they say that the machine recommends rook takes uh, f5 is logical because okay now the b6 pawn is so weak because okay I suppose that the move that I know Sindarov was bishop c5, but here the king is winning with king e3 and king d3 and king e4 rook f6 and okay the machine say that this thing is winning is logical because this king is so bad place and he have no ways to came to the king side is because let's see that all the secret is cut and this king cut this square. So that's not here white is winning, but I understand that bishop b6 was the easiest move because all the rook endgame have draw tendency. So I understand that Sindarov doesn't want to reach this rook endgame. If I play, I'm sure that I play bishop b6. When I got in the game on live, I thought that the best move was bishop b6. So logical move bishop b6, f4. And here he played a little bit strange. King f3 here was the most logical, followed by rook e4. This looks like so is no, not so. I'm not going to say so easy, but looks so logical. And okay, he played rook d5. He's a move with no so much sense. I think bishop b7 because okay, first you're allowing bishop b7, activating the bishop, and he played king f3, but that's not in the right moment. Like Serezewski saying in his book, the king centralization is never wrong, but could be untimely. So in this moment, king f3 is untimely. He should just play rook f5 to cut the black king. Because after king f3 now with king f7 now the position is like it's not I'm not going to say a draw, but the position is defendable too, and according to the machine is equal. Of course, white is putting pressure, but here black can defend the game. But after rook e5, here Alcantara should play sorry, bishop d6, not allowing the white bishop to activate, just attacking the rook and activate his self king. Sorry, that's all the time I fight to activate the kings. Rook f6, and yes, it's not clear how white can make progress because now the black king is so active and this pawn is so well defended. So this could be a very good idea to play bishop d6 first to defend the f4 pawn and to activate the king. Instead of that, he played rook c3, allowing the white king to be active. And he played bishop d6, but yes, there's not a good time to play bishop d6 because now the white king is so active. So after rook here, for example, the huge difference is that after rook f6, now you have no king d5 because this king is defending a5. That's why rook c3 here, very strange move, loses the game. Okay, and now the rest was easy for Sindarov after bishop e5 and queen here. Alcantara resigns and Sindarov advanced to the next round. Congratulations to our player. First to Alcantara because he played a great tournament. I played against him some months ago and he's a fine person and a very good player. So I hope that in the future he still having very good results. And congratulations to Sindarov who of course advanced to the semifinals of the World Cup and he's so close to qualify to candidates. So let's see if he reaches the candidates. Bye bye motherfuckers.